Okay, let's get into it. Rings for elo on Reinhardt. So real quick, here's what Muma said about pins before we get into it.
Reinhardt's left shift is the worst ability in the game. Really don't use it. There's like times where you can, but you should probably refrain from doing it. For the most part, it's just a bad ability. Too much to displace you. Too much CC in the game. Short pins are okay, but most of the time it just puts you out of position and leaves you so vulnerable.
Okay, yeah. So basically, the thing to remember with pins is don't ever use a pin and then be in a position at the end of a pin that you don't want to be in, which is the majority of pins, and which is why he's saying it's like a bad ability. Like he said, like short pins are okay, and another pin that's okay is like if you are in a Rein v Rein matchup and you have a diva on your team, the diva can throw self-destruct in, and then the Rein is going to try to shield that with the shield. But you, as the Reinhardt player, can use your shift ability to bump into the enemy Reinhardt, and then he's not going to have his shield held up. So
you can
let's get into
the team, I guess.
Yeah, I'm support too.
Wait, using shift to get out of
Tank
spawn
support,
is good.
master race.
Because like the rule was like you don't want to be in a position that like
so you have
don't want to be in at the end of the pit. But right here you're okay being here. So
there's dozens of us.
And you use your left click to look at the hamster. This is actually really big brain. This is a good play right here. And another thing is there are no walls, so the main generally holds up here in this video. I don't know if you were able to like scout that.
Right side walled off.
And this, actually, I think yeah, the maze right here. The resolution is a little bit. I don't know. It looks a little blurry for me at least. I don't know if my computer is just not like processing it or whatever. But basically, if you know that the maze no wall, you can just push in through here and just go to point would probably be the best play.
Smart.
We're all in. We're all in. Come.
But instead, you go over here. Well, here is good as well.
They're Reinhardt. Or Reinhardt's to the left.
So yeah, these
He's mid now.
those tanks are not going to be able to kill them. But these guys, so these guys are separated from their tanks, so you should be able to
Big anti.
get them.
Roadhog's up behind.
Okay, so you get the brig. That's good. And yeah, the pin, he said there was just like too much CC, so it's kind of like displaces you a bit. But yeah, you also get walled, so that's the wall's not really
those are anti.
I think the main reason you end up losing this game fight is just kind of unlucky. I don't know if there's a many could have done here.
Wait for the reading. Roadhog's sitting on our spawn. He's coming toward
Roadhog coming up to me.
Okay, so that's not particularly a bad pin because it's like short and you can like basically it's not gonna be the difference between putting you in or out of your Baptiste's LOS. So basically for healers like Baptiste and Anna, if they can see you, you get heals from them. But if they can't, you won't be able to get heals from them. So this doesn't necessarily mean that your Baptiste won't be able to heal you. The wall does, and the fact that the Baptiste got hooked.
It's just you up there.
So at this point, if you're 59 health and your healers are just back there, you might as well just like get killed, basically.
We're trying, man. Go back, go back.
Yeah, so this is okay, and then just reset.
Diva, you're by yourself.
Alright.
Hamster above. Never mind. Go back, go back, go back.
So, against this Blizzard, so the Blizzard is in LOS ult. It's not like the circle, like if you're within the circle, you just automatically get frozen. Basically, if you're behind anything, so if this thing right here can see you, then you will be frozen. However, you can point your shield towards this, but instead you point it towards the visor, and then you get frozen, and then you're not able to shield your team after that.
That knocked me the wrong way.
Soldier on me.
So had you like shielded the Blizzard there, you may or may not have gone out. They use mines as well, so that kind of zones you a lot. And this was kind of, it does get 2 kills, but it's kind of a waste. I mean, because I mean, pretty much everyone was dead anyway. This it doesn't really secure a win of the bomb, but nobody cares about what other people do because like people are just gonna do dumb stuff. You have to focus on yourself. So here you kind of disrespect the Roadhog sightline. So I kind of want to talk about using kind of mobility with your shield. I don't know if I like mentioned this, but you jump and you move your shield is another way to like it kind of increases your mobility as well as like shielding. And this is like really hard to hook. Like it would be really hard to hook you if you were like doing that. Another thing is like if you're just trying to like walk in, like if the enemy's like over there and you're trying to get to them, don't do this because this is just a waste of your shield. Whereas you could just be using this jump ability to get through. Also, if you're against like something like a Roadhog that has like a lot of potential to kill you, then like go for swings and then shield like immediately after. And even if you don't complete it, like if you see something that you have to like you're halfway through a swing and you have to block because you see some like sleep dart or nade or hook or something like that, that's fine. Like you know, you just always be trying for those swings, and if they don't work out, then you shield for those stuff. But here you're kind of in this Roadhog's LOS a lot, and not really like respecting his sidelines. And then he's able to like, he gets slapped, but even though he didn't kill you, he pretty much disables your push. So I think I might have mentioned this, or I might not have mentioned this, but basically, don't let your shield get below 500. Because in case you have to block something like really crucial, like a Roadhog hook actually, or like in a sleep dart or something like that, then you have to have a certain amount of shield, like to be able to block stuff like that. And so if your shield is already this low, then you should communicate that to your team first of all, and then second of all, take this right path because this has more natural cover. So the most natural cover that you can get is better, because if you're just gonna go through there, you're essentially just giving free shield. So yeah, just go to the right in this scenario would probably be a lot better, and you would let some of your shield recharge.
Just push up.
So engaging with your shield is really not the best because essentially you just have a hammer and that's it.
Anna's antied in the
You
back.
can't deny any of the enemy like map control.
Soldier.
Follow Diva, follow Diva.
Yeah, so in this pin scenario, it ends up working out, but
Soldier.
so here's why this
Follow
pin
Diva,
is
follow.
going to be punished at like higher levels. Is there's this Brigitte
Diva.
here, and so basically you have never, or I mean not never, but I mean like in this scenario, you haven't seen the Brigitte at all. Like she's just been behind a wall like the whole game, so you wouldn't have like had any possible way to know whether or not she's used her bash ability, which is most likely not because she's just been playing behind a wall the whole time. So she probably has bash, so she can just stun you and then you'll get hooked, and then this guy's shotgun, this guy's flail, and this guy's cannons or whatever are going to be able to deal damage to you, and your healers aren't not going to be able to. They're not going to be able to out heal that basically.
Ryan gets a point on and nano you.
God damn it.
Swang that hammer, man. Swang it.
Okay, good.
Roadhog, left side or right side point.
So generally, the main tank capturing the objective isn't the best. What you want to be doing is like, so your team can probably handle this Roadhog. Like 2 against 1 is like the Roadhog's not gonna win though.
Roadhog, left side or right side.
And the Widow's right there as well. So you might as well just start walking up there and then try to like scout the enemy, and as well as securing high
Roadhog,
ground.
left side or
stuff
right
like
side
that.
point.
Yeah, and here basically you just give them free time to respawn essentially. You just kind of delay your engagement by spending all your time on point.
Wait, Ryan, for your team, Ryan.
Yeah, and what this Junkrat says, like, wait Ryan for your team, is actually true, because, like, you being alone essentially puts, essentially, it's kind of a complicated concept, but basically, if you have, 6 people, and the enemy has 6 people, and they go at each other, then this is what's called a local 6v6. But if for whatever reason you have 6 people and the enemy has, say, like 4 plus 2, like we'll use Pharmacy as an example. Say this is a Pharah and this is a Mercy, and you go after these guys. You essentially make it into what's called a local 4v6, because it's 6 versus 4. And then these guys, they're separated, so they're not going to be able to peel as well. So whenever somebody is separated from the team, basically they don't get any peel. So essentially, since you're separated, you essentially make this into a local 1v, however many of those guys are there. And they ult you as well. So basically, another thing is you cut yourself off from, like, so, like, I need to close this. If this is, like, the map, and you're in this, like, ramp area, so this is, like, this gray is you right here, and your Anna is back here, like, with your, like, your Baptiste. They're not going to be able to heal you, because the only way they would be able to shoot you is by shooting this wall, and it gets broken by the wall right here, and it just, like, you're behind a wall, so they're not going to be able to heal you. I'll keep this open just in case I need to do it again.
You have to pay attention to where the rest of us are. You're way ahead of us.
Soldiers antied 1.
Also, another thing to note on 2CP specifically, on the second point, any kill that you get is worth half a kill essentially, and any kill the enemy gets is worth 1 kill. So let's take a look at the kill feed.
You're way ahead of us.
Well, I'll just assume, so any kill you get is worth 1, and any kill they get is worth 2. So you have, well, they have, so you've lost 2 points essentially. So they have 2 points and you have 1 point. So they're up 1 right now. And then you get the Baptiste. So at this point,
Soldiers antied 1.
Wait, no, your Baptiste dies. So they took 4 essentially because they killed 1, 2, and then 2 times 2 is 4, and then you get 1. So it's a, they're 3 points ahead of you. And the reason that is because the respawn is so close. Basically, if you were to respawn, you have to walk a really long way to get back to the fight, where they just have to walk like basically to their front door essentially. Like, not far at all.
Fall on Mei, fall on Mei. He's anti? Nice.
Okay, so here I want to talk about why you don't get frozen by this blizzard, or well, your Junkrat is, but so anything, so natural cover or shields can block this Mei thing.
He's anti?
So the Mei thing is right here. So this oxygen sign or whatever is shielding you from getting frozen by the blizzard thing. Where though here you might have been able to like shield your Junkrat. Like had you turned to the right like
I'm stunned.
have you turned to the right like a little bit? You might have been able to shield him, but yeah, and he's like basically underneath it, so it might have been kind of hard in that particular scenario.
Good demo.
So zoning that soldier right there is good. Like if you like, basically, as a rule of thumb, like enable whoever is ulting on your team and disable who's ever ulting on their team. With, I guess, some exceptions to that, but like, shielding the soldier is good there.
Roadhog behind.
Or another option is like in this scenario, like he's close enough that like you can swing at him, and then he would essentially be forced to shoot at you because you're essentially just like zoning him, and you're like body blocking him as well because you have like a really large hitbox. So anything like behind you is just like not gonna be able to get shot.
Roadhog behind, Roadhog
But
behind.
yeah, this pin is dangerous. You're right next to a Brigida here, and there's somebody right there. Yeah, so the maze right there,
Roadhog behind, Roadhog behind.
and the Brigida is right here. So you've essentially sandwiched yourself, and like you can either shield the Brigida and then get stunned by the Mei, or shield the Mei and get stunned by the Brigida. And either way, both of them are going to be able to deal damage to you. So this is why the like hitting is dangerous in general. But the Mei does not notice it, so it ends up working out for you.
Put your shield up, Ryan. Put your shield up.
This soldier, come on.
Soldier in the backline.
They're like
Up, Ryan. Put your
they
shield
kind
up.
of get zoned by the hog, I think. Or what happens? Please. Yeah, another thing is while you're pinning, you're super easy to shoot. You're just walking in a straight line basically, and you get hooked by this hog, which isn't the best. So basically, he's just like really in your face. So you're forced to deal with like a roadhog being like on top of you.
Put your shield up.
When you should be trying to find this soldier 76
Ryan,
and solo slamming
Put
him.
your shield up.
This soldier, come on.
Soldier in the backline.
Yeah, so a lot of like I want to talk about like the solo slam concept like, a little bit, but a lot of Ryans like generally they'll like aim for like getting at minimum 2 people in their like their shatter. However, so they basically just need 2 points of value. So what you're getting in this value is getting the soldier 76 and you're getting his visor. So that's 2 points. So for every ult that you get with your slam, it counts as a kill essentially. So you would be getting the soldier and his ultimate. So if you had slammed him, you would have gotten 2 points of value there basically.
May you're antied.
Yeah, so if the Mei is in this... All your divas with you. Oh, I think your diva went away. Yeah, I don't think that's entirely your fault though. The diva
Moira's
kind
in the back.
ran away.
That's just the reset.
They just rallied. Yep. It's really good.
60 seconds remaining.
Widow down.
Alright.
The Roadhog's above us. You're walled off,
You're
Ryan.
cut off.
Yeah, so the Mei matchup, this gave me a lot of trouble when reviewing this VOD. I actually had to like delay this VOD because like I was like really not sure what to do about this Mei matchup. But here is what the main tank player from my Overwatch team told me about it. Movies, one parts, and whether you have any advice for Ryan into Mei, specifically learning color. Bait Mei wall as soon as you can. Try not to fight without it gone. And how do you bait the wall? Just go back and forth where they would wall or have someone with movement. Go ahead and try to bait it, and then use their movement to get back to the team. Though in this scenario, honestly, this is kind of an unlikely wall. I don't even know why they walled you there. So I think you press tab walking back from spawn. So you have a Widowmaker, you have an Ana, you have a Junkrat, they have a Roadhog and a D.Va for tanks. They don't have any sort of main tank. So if you were to go to the high ground, you could just spam them out with anti-nade, Junkrat, that kind of thing. And then once you've taken the high ground, you give the Widowmaker free high ground, as well as your Ana and as well as your Baptiste. So there's a lot of people that can benefit from high ground. And on the enemy, there's not a lot of... Oh, they had a Hammond too. Oh, I didn't realize that. But yeah, even then, you're still going to be able to spam them out. So basically, going to high ground probably would have been the better call in this scenario.
Widow down.
Alright.
Yeah, and this is kind of where there was a little bit of like disconnect in your kind of teams. Like Had anybody like, if you did want to go down here, you probably should have just called it out on your mic, or if they wanted to go up here, they should have called it out. Cause here your Widow gets hooked, which isn't entirely your fault, but you could have prevented this though. Like, had you gone with your Widow, and then you could have like shielded the hook.
Widow down.
Alright.
The Roadhog's above us. You're walled off,
You're
Ryan.
cut off,
and
you're
then
cut
you get
off,
walled,
stay
which-
safe.
I don't know, the main matchup is really, really hard. Like, even in, like, Diamond games, it seems like, I don't know, a lot of stuff changes at Masters, basically, but it seems like the May stuff is just really, really hard to beat with Deathball comp until you get to, like,
You just left
Masters.
behind.
Like, it's, like, you know, feasible, but it's, like,
Flank behind, flank
it's
behind.
really hard, basically. And even in Masters, it's still not, like, the May is just automatically lost in that matchup. It's still, like, skill-based. It's basically the May is more or less like almost an I win button until you get to Masters, and then it becomes a skill.
May
It's
anti,
it's
everyone's
really,
anti.
It's really hard to beat, is my
Get a
point.
point.
But it's beatable. And if you learn how to beat it, then
Moira in backline, help.
you'll be able to like
Moira
carry
fade
a
that.
lot of games essentially. But it's not the easiest thing to do.
Already swapped, man. We have to get on point, we have to get on point.
Yeah, and then you essentially just have to touch.
Coming in with Nano when we
Yeah,
get
so,
there.
I don't know, stalling isn't like the most like there's not it's not very high skill cap basically, so there's not a whole lot of like critiques you can make to like stalling, you know.
The best I can do.
So, and then there's some like
That's alright, we'll hold him.
I
dialogue
just don't know
about
how we
like
got 3 tank mains in a single game, that's like the first time.
yeah, we have 3 tank mains. So just play through tanks. I mean, first of all, the reason they put so this isn't going to be a problem in the future, but the reason they put the 2-2-2 roll-lock in the game is so people don't have to play heroes that aren't their mains. Because whenever you put someone in a hero that's not their main, you're lowering the average SR of your team. Because basically, one of the things Jeff said is like he plays tank and damage at a diamond level, but he plays support at a plat level. So essentially, if you're in a diamond game and you have to put Jeff on a support, you're essentially signing up to have a plat player instead of a diamond player on your team. So
Nope.
good players will always be the good team. And look, I have it on times 2 speed, so I need to get it off times 2 speed. They've got 3 tanks. They got a Hammond, they've got a Roadhog, they've got a Diva. Just run 3 tanks yourself. But in matchmaking,
That's right, we'll hold
people
it.
kind of get
I don't know how we got 3 tank mains in
I
a
don't know,
single game,
just
that's like the
really
first time
super
it's ever
OCD about 2-2 is always the optimal way to play. Even though before they forced 2-2-2, it wasn't even the optimal way to play. Like the only really meta it was actually optimal, like just straight up just better than everything else was like in the Mercy meta, because the first really real meta was the triple tank meta back in season 3, and that was 3 tanks. That wasn't 2-2-2. And then after that came the dive meta, where people will put Sombra instead of the off support a lot of the time and run triple DPS that way, or sometimes they would take out the Diva and run a Soldier 76. And then 2-2-2 was strong, but I mean it wasn't the only way to play the game. And then after that was the Mercy meta, and then during that quad tank was invented, so you can't even say 2-2-2 was like, it was the most common, like especially more than the other 2 metas before it. But it wasn't, the best way to play. And then after that, Brigitte was put into the game, which led to the double sniper meta, which a lot of the time comps were running where you would have Orisa, Hog, Diva, a double sniper, and then a Mercy. So that wasn't 2-2-2. And then you would have some variants of dive where you have a Brigitte instead of the other DPS, and then that wasn't 2-2-2. And then Ghosts came after that, and then the counter to Ghosts was the triple DPS stuff. So like people got it in their head where like 2-2-2 was like the only way to play the game. And nowadays it is. But it wasn't always.
Who switched? Wait, who changed to DPS?
I changed the DPS.
Dude.
Or you could like say something.
Hey, don't be a dick. Widow.
I mean,
Good fuck.
no.
DPS.
5, 4,
Yeah, it's no problem. Everyone, I love you all. We got this.
1. Attackers incoming. Defend objective A.
You gotta set up somewhere, Ryan.
So,
I need help.
real quick, they have a Pharaoh on their team, and I don't know if this advice is going to be relevant for this specific game, but if you remember the taking local 4v6 concept, and with like a more coordinated team, as Ryan, you have to be more aggressive because you have to know that these guys you will be able to take a 4v6 against, and then obviously these are going to be helping them, but not as much. Like with a Fair Mercy combo, it's really hard to like peel if you're in like a Fair Mercy combo. So you can just play more aggressive against the 4 guys on the ground, where a lot of people think like, oh, we need to get a hit scan, and that hit scan is an I win button against the Farm Mercy combo, and then if it's not what I win, it's literally all the hit scan's fault. Like tanks and supports like don't do anything, which actually isn't true. Like good tank play beats everything.
Help left.
Beats everything. It always beat everything. And it always will beat everything.
Their May fell down.
She's got me
May
frozen
anti.
down here.
He's one.
Stay on point, get on point. Yeah, fantastic.
So this pin real quick. So right here, anybody that you haven't scouted and seen them use their abilities has their abilities, unless somebody else has specified it. So if somebody had called out like, maybe I wasn't paying enough attention, but if somebody had called out like Ana no sleep, Ana no nade, or something along those lines, then the Ana, you can assume that the Ana will not have those abilities. So in this scenario, the Ashe used dynamite, but I want to take a look at this pin.
Their May fell down.
She's got me
May
frozen
anti.
down here.
He's one.
So you jump the Ashe, but she ends up getting her dynamite back actually, I'm pretty sure. So this puts you next to an Ashe and an Ana. So this Ana can sleep you or put an anti-nade on you. And then another thing it does is it gives them kind of like cross angles on you. So where's Emma's paint? Did I close that out? So basically, if 2 people are taking different angles on you, then they essentially, you can't block both of them at the same time. So if this is the Ana and this is the Ashe, you're forced to shield one or the other. You can't shield both at the same time. So you essentially give them like free cross angles with this pin.
Stay on point.
And your team's
Stay
over
on
here,
point, get on
so
point.
you aren't really like able to like peel for them if they get in trouble.
May on me. May on me.
Yeah, but
May,
this
May.
ends up working out for you.
May.
May on your supports. Both our healers are dead.
You need. Okay. Just play safe, Ryan. Just play safe. Don't turn your back. Just back to the back.
May to the right, May to the right. And Brigitte.
No, dynamite to your left. Call it.
So with this pin also, when the freeze comes out, block it, because now that you've run away, your Roadhog has 2 options. Like he can either
Call it.
so he either has to stand behind this whole thing or get frozen, essentially. Whereas if you were shielding him, he could still, shoot at the enemy. But like this is like hard zoning them, where like you could be shielding and then they wouldn't get zoned as hard.
They have a Sombra.
Brig on our right side, behind us. Brig anti, get her.
Break down.
But this is free actually doing it. Where are you in this fight? I didn't pay attention. Right. Okay, so your Hanzo's dead.
They have a Sombra.
Brig on our right side, behind us. Brig anti, get her.
Break down.
Honest, left, near point. Good job, John. Thanks.
Got hamstered. I need heal. I'm frozen. Alright, EMP,
That's not
but
Their hamster's nanoed.
So another thing is you can solo slam enemy ultimates. Like this Bob, actually this Bob isn't doing it.
Fight it. Just
I
fight
don't
it. Get
know.
in there.
So this Bob is kind of not really doing a ton, but if a Bob is like really threatening you a bit
Right.
more than this one is, then you can use your shatter to get rid of him. Because you're
Your anti
essentially
actually
just like
kill it.
trading an ult for an ult. It's like even at that point. But yeah, that Bob wasn't really doing a ton, so probably don't solo slam that
He
Bob.
sleeps down. They're on
Yeah,
us
it's
to the
gonna
right
be
of the
super
point by yourself.
Sombra's low. Sombra's
So
low.
right there, what you're doing is actually really good, because like
They're on.
in between team fights, like push up and like enable like your long range DPS to kind of kill these stragglers.
On us
is,
to the
like,
right of the
really
point
good.
by yourself.
So keep doing that.
Sombra's low. Sombra's low to the left.
I'm gonna go for the Ana.
Okay.
Got her.
Shit.
Ana down.
Ash back left. Ash back. Play a little bit farther back.
Got dynamite on point.
60 seconds remaining.
There's two pushing right. Two pushing right. Two pushing right. Three pushing.
Ash dynamite down. Friggin' May right. May anti, she's one. Good job.
That Hamtaro's one.
Ham on point, ham on point.
So right here, you probably could have slammed these guys. So they've used their sleep and they've used their nade. So if they use like if you use like your slam, you have no risk of like,
Hamtaro's one.
those abilities hitting you, which it probably wouldn't have hit you anyway. But you would have. Actually, no, you probably shouldn't. You got
point,
two
him on
kills
point.
with it,
Brig just off point,
Go
left
Brig.
side.
Kill
Anti.
Brig. I got her.
Seconds remaining.
Got her.
Their Ash is mid trying to get points. Or sorry,
Water
ult
taking.
sharp.
Back up a little bit, Ryan. Back up, Ryan.
Okay,
Please
so
back
in the-
up,
Are
Ryan.
they gonna go top
So
left?
this is actually okay. They're like wanting, oh please back up, like, but you don't necessarily like need to basically, because like killing this Ana is actually really good. Any kill that you get delays the enemy 30 seconds from their next engagement. Like if they are like straggling like that.
Hamster main.
Yeah, so this is another example where like your pin. I honestly think had you not done this pin, you probably would have won the game.
Please back up,
Are
Ryan.
they gonna go top left?
10 seconds remaining.
Hamster main.
Because had you not pinned, you could have blocked this freeze. And saved your team. And another thing is you get killed and you have your shatter. So if you're the one carrying the ult and you die, that's way worse than like somebody else dying.
Fuck, I died. Sorry, guys.
That was meant for the Roadhog.
Just reset. Just reset. Just reset. Just reset if you can.
Objective lost. New
So in this scenario, so this door is the worst door to walk out of, first of all.
Fuck, I died. Sorry, guys.
That was meant for the
So you should just walked out like this door, because this just puts you further away from like the point. It's just like you essentially have to walk right to walk back left
Just
again.
reset.
Though now that they've called just
Just
reset, you should have gone to the high ground
Just
and held
reset.
high ground.
Just re-
Because the thing about high ground is if you're low ground and you want to be high ground for whatever reason, you don't have that option. But if you're high ground and you want to be low ground, you do have that option.
Reset if you can.
So basically you get the advantage of like,
Yeah.
essentially being able to bully them into like taking whatever position you want, where they kind of bully you. Where like the Hanzo is on high ground and he kind of said jump, he gets kind of zoned essentially. And even had he been playing on point, they still probably would have been able to like pick their engagement a little bit better.
May's top left. May's top left.
Yeah, and the Ashe would not have been like a concern at all for you had you been up here. You'd have just been able to like block her from the gorilla ledge.
I'm asleep.
Hamster
And I get what you're trying to do with the pin on the Bob, but
slip.
in this scenario it's just like a little far away. Yeah, basically it's just like a little bit too far.
I'm asleep.
Hamster slept. Oh, main back, on supports.
May dead.
Yeah, so in this scenario, since it is so far away, you probably should have just waited
I'm
for it
asleep.
to hit the wall, and then
Hamster
once
slept.
it got up, like you
Oh, back.
you either use slam on the bob, or if you find
Main
like
back
a better
on sports.
opportunity to use a slam
dead.
then. But yeah, this is like another instance where like essentially whoever ults first will generally win the team fight. So they use the how does the bob get up? Oh, you boop it up. Okay. So basically whoever uses their ultimate first is most likely going to win the team fight, because basically if they use their ult and they get a kill with it, then they've already made it into like a 5v6, and then you have to work from a disadvantage. Alright, so in general, things to work on, be really careful with your pins, because a lot of the time it prevents you from being able to help your team, and it puts you next to enemies that can punish you for it. What else? Let me think. If I think of anything else, I'll let you know through like Discord or comment section or stuff like that.